this game. I make a statement and you tell me whether I'm telling the truth or not. Don't dare me, that's not an option here. So let's get started. George Washington was the first president of the United States. Drum roll, please. That's false. There were several presidents before George Washington. However, those were presidents under the Article of Confederation, which means it was a very different kind of office, with a very different set of rights and obligations. If you take all that into consideration and not just the title itself, then yes, George Washington was the first president of the United States. If not, he was not. So let's get to the next one. Charles Lindbergh was the first person to complete a non-stop transatlantic flight. Please lock in your answer. Rien ne va plus. Also false. He did the first solo flight over the Atlantic Ocean. However, there had been several persons before him who made that flight, just not on their own. Finally was our favorite big bird on Sesame Street replaced by a blue one in the Netherlands, named Pino. Yes, he was. Note that in the same country, Pino is also known as an acronym for Prince 2 in name only, usually when everybody's favorite project management method is applied in less than controlled environments. Now let's move to our next set of statements. And here's our first one. 5 is less than 3. Yeah, false of course. Hey, I never said that they'd become harder to answer. Next one. 5 is greater than 5. And again, false. 5 equals 5. That's not the same thing. 5 does not equal 3. And that one is finally true. If you tell the nice policeman you've drunk 3 beers and it turns out you've drunk 5, he'll tell you that's not the same thing. So why am I telling you all this? Because computers can make decisions. And because we've also learned that everything that happens within a computer has to do with numbers. And here we are. We can express true and false in numbers. True equals 1 and false equals 0. So what does that mean? That means that if we ask ourselves whether George Washington was the first president, we can say that's 0. And consequently, when we want to confirm the existence of Pino, we can say 1. In a previous lesson, we acquainted ourselves with the 6 arithmetic operators in uBasic 4, but there are more. All of these operators return either 1, it's true, or 0, it's untrue. Let's see what they are. The less than operator compares 2 expressions. If the result of the left expression is less than the right expression, it returns 1, and if not, 0. The greater than operator compares 2 expressions. If the result of the left expression is greater than the right expression, it returns 1, and if not, 0. The equals operator compares 2 expressions. If the result of both expressions is equal, it returns 1, and if not, 0. Note, this is an operator. It does not result in an assignment. That's something completely different. Finally, the not equals operator is the inverse of the equals operator. If the result of both expressions is equal, it returns 0, and if not, 1. So we're capable to express all those statements in uBasic 4 code and see their result. Is 5 less than 3? That's untrue, 0. Is 5 greater than 5? That's false as well, 0. 5 does not equal 3? That's true, so 1. And if you question it, you can always ask uBasic 4 yourself. Just take this program and execute it. You can use these operators along with arithmetic operators without any problems or restrictions. Let's take the small program apart. First, we assign the value 20 to variable A. Then we assign the value 2 to variable B. And finally, we can figure out what happens when we evaluate the print statement. A minus 22 equals 2 because 24 minus 22 equals 2. 3 plus 5 equals 8. If we divide 8 by 2, that's what B holds, we get 4. So the actual question is 2 less than 4? Figure that out for yourself, what will be printed here. And that's a wrap. So, what have we learned today? First, in uBasic for, when an expression renders true, that's represented by a 1. If it's false, it's 0. Second, we learned about uBasic for comparison operators. Less than, greater than, equals, does not equal. Third, you should not confuse the equals operator with an assignment. It's not. And remember, comparison operators are just like any other operator. So yes, they take entire expressions. And finally, all these comparison operators return either false or true. And that's the end of the line, folks.